So I was watching this thing on TV last night. This guy was on, one of them vegetarians, you know? Those freaks who don't eat meat. He was talking some shit about how it's bad to kill animals for food. As far as I'm concerned, I'm all for killing, if it's for a good reason. And eating this steak is definitely a good reason. So, what about you, Vito? You against killing animals? How about, you know, the, human animal?
Oh, please! I got a wife and kid!
You should have thought of that before.
Many people say gangster films were the evolution of the Western, and perhaps there's some truth to that. Mafia films are without a doubt some of my favorites. Goodfellas, The Godfather, and Once Upon a Time in America are timeless classics. Television shows like The Sopranos delve even deeper into the psyche of mobster Tony Soprano, and show us that even though we might not want to admit it, we all have a little gangster inside us. A majority of us would love to have money, power, and a sense of rebellious freedom that few have ever experienced, but the bitter consequences of having those things keep most of us in check. Now, Mafia video games are really nothing new. From The Godfather to the Grand Theft Auto series, the mob, or at least Mafia elements, usually aren't far in gaming. The first Mafia game, released back in 2002, was really great on the PC, but fell way short on home consoles when it was ported in 2004. Mafia 2 has been a long time coming, plagued with multiple delays, made me wonder if this title would ever see the light of day. But thankfully it's finally here. So has all the development time paid off, making Mafia 2 the next third-person open-world game? Or should it be sleeping with the fishes?
Mama, go. Right, I'm going. Jesus Christ.
I really do feel that to enjoy Mafia 2 the most, you have to be a fan of Mafia movies. You play as Vito Scaletta, a young Italian immigrant who gets into trouble with the law early in life and is consequently sent in a battle during World War II. After being wounded, he's sent home to visit his family and friends. There to meet him at the train station is his lifelong pal Joe, a guy who started to build a reputation for himself in the shady, fictional underworld of Empire Bay City. Vito soon finds out that before his father died, he borrowed money from some pretty nasty guys. Not wanting to follow in his father's footsteps and spend his life working on the docks doing backbreaking work, Vito turns to Joe for help, and is quickly brought in to do a few jobs. From there, you follow a young Vito as he rises throughout the world of organized crime. The story itself is the main focus of the game, and that's a good thing because it's well put together. Anyone who has ever wanted to play an old-school mobster will no doubt be giddy with glee as they play out their violent mafioso fantasies through Vito. It's a gritty tale that's well written, with characters that you'll legitimately care about. Graphically, Mafia 2 looks good, especially if you're playing it on a high-end PC or the Xbox 360. The PS3 version is in fact inferior to both its counterparts because it's missing several things, including three-dimensional grass, pools of blood under dead bodies, and realistic cloth physics. It also has some ugly pop-in, and it's prone to lockups. On both consoles, Mafia 2 suffers from some major glitches right out of the box that may cause you to have to restart an entire chapter. This is really annoying since some of the chapters are quite long. As a way of saying, we're sorry, our bad to PS3 owners, 2K has included the Betrayal of Jimmy DLC for free. It's a nice little addition, but it still doesn't make up for the lack of attention paid to the PS3 version. The gameplay in Mafia is interesting because it's not really a true open-world game like Grand Theft Auto, and in my opinion, that's not such a bad thing. If you played the first Mafia, the structure is identical. A majority of the time, you'll drive to a location given to you, and a story cinematic cutscene will play, setting up the mission. More often than not, you'll have a crew of 2 or more wise guys with you, and of course, you'll drive to the next designated location. Get out, go inside, shoot it out with your opposition, drop your crew off, head back home, sleep, and it all begins again. Certainly this formula does feel a bit dated, but the excellent story and dialogue will keep you pressing forward. The action is never boring due to the game's tight Gears of War-like cover system. You can use just about anything for cover, and shootouts remain fun throughout the majority of the game. There's also a great variety of weapons here, though most often you'll rely on your Tommy gun. The sound effects, music, and especially the dialogue are expertly done to suit the setting. If I had one complaint, it would be that there should have been more music and a better variety of radio stations, especially since so much of Mafia 2 is focused on driving around the city. There could also be more dialogue when traveling from one location to another. Still, the game does a great job of making you feel like you're back in the time period. Mafia 2 is a game that is tailor-made for fans of Mafia movies, books, or history. It does a great job of bringing you into its world and making you feel like you are back in the 1940s. Unfortunately, it's plagued by some issues that prevent it from being as good as it could have been. Once you're done with the story, there's really nothing much in the way of side missions or anything like that. I'm not going to complain about the game not having an online mode, because I feel very strongly that not every game needs to have one. That being said, Mafia 2 is a good 14 to 15 hours long, depending on how much time you sit around looking at the Playboy magazines you've collected. I liked Mafia 2 a lot, and while I feel it's worth the purchase on the Xbox 360 or PC, the PS3 version should probably be avoided unless it's the only console you have. Complaints of the game being too linear are valid, but the great story and atmosphere makes that pretty easy to overlook. In closing, if you like anything to do with the Mafia, I recommend you pick this one up. If you feel a bit unsure if it's for you, I think you should at least give it a rental.
We'll sit there and we'll wait till that fat fuck shows up, and then boom!
Forget about it.